Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. We're going to have the epic match of epic matches because we have the big rivalry Bisu versus Savior here. And yeah, losers match. Whoever wins stays alive and whoever loses is out. We're going to have Bisu starting in purple, I think in the bottom right hand corner, and we've got Savior starting in brown, the upper left hand corner. This is once again going to be on Odd Eye, which honestly, it's too bad it's not an ultimatum. I kind of in this matchup, I kind of favor one player of the other. And I gotta say, I favor Bisu just because Bisu, I feel like, has always had the upper hand over Savior. And on this map, I think it's really going to favor, which, for the live cast, by the way, I'm kind of showing them the map right there. I think it's going to end up working out for Bisu a little bit better because the third base for Zerg, I feel like it's difficult to defend because you've got, basically you just need to play really, really defensively, very, very defensively to try to defend it. There's a lot of territory to cover beyond those three bases unless you have absolute dominant map control. There's not a lot you can do, and that's part of the problem with not having any additional ramp expansions you can take or having large ramps at expansions otherwise. And let's see if Bisu decides to do his and I think that's actually the wins-loss ratio, Bisu winning 5 times, Savior winning only 2 as far as the last whatever. That also might be map statistics overall, and it could be 12. That might be in the MSL versus overall, 12-4 overall. But anyway, this is kind of the classic rivalry. Savior was the guy who's dominant, Bisu was the guy who beat him and then kind of took over that dominant status. And really, since Bisu, we haven't had a pure Bonjwa. We've had a lot of great players out there. We have Jaedong, we've had Flash, but we haven't had a guy that was absolutely dominating, like just rolling the scene over almost everyone else. Just flat out, where there was no one that could really even test him. There's no one else you could really even say, well, oh, he's just as good, or he's sort of thing. We've always had, I guess that's probably the problem with having Jaedong and Flash in the same era. They've just been the consummate competitors, and there's just been big arguments over who's, between those two, who are the dominant guys. Anyway, it looks like Bisu is managing to get the scout in the base. It's a 2-player map, so kind of obvious you can only go one direction, not 4-player. Actually, in one of the I actually redid the commentary from the last map on the live cast. I actually thought it was a different map to start, which kind of threw me off a little bit off today. I think it's because of the weather here in San Diego. It's been kind of rainy, and it actually took me I live like 10 blocks from work. It took me half an hour to get home because all the stoplights were out from this power outage. There was cars going, like accidents everywhere. It was like the zombie apocalypse right outside my house. A little bit nuts. Anyway, 12 hatch, so it looks like Bisu's going to open up with a pretty safe, fast expansion. You can get that cannon, or I should say you can get that forge, and you can get that gateway a little bit later. And that probe is really just disrupting and harassing back here. It looks like he actually might get a drone kill. Has really kind of thrown Savior off, and even just little pulls off the line like this and little stoppages and little blockades just running back and forth like that slows those drones down. That does cost real mining time, and it looks like Savior does manage to use that damage drone to build his extractor. So a little bit of a Pyrrhic victory for Bisu, who's like, oh, I did all that damage and don't get a kill, unfortunately. And it looks like Bisu is going to just play from here. I thought I saw, I don't think I saw second gas. That would be absolute crazy, second gas before Nexus. But it looks like Bisu in the meantime taking his Savior, taking his third expansion at the 12 o'clock extremely rapidly. Let's see if he decides to play that 4-hatch play. I think 5 hatcheries is the best to go really on this map because you've got to play aggressive map control and stop a Protoss player from really harassing you from there. I'm kind of curious how Savior's really going to play, or how Bisu's going to play against this. I'm not sure why I'm mixing these guys up. That's the consummate rivals. One's Zerg, one's Protoss, and they're the heroes in both races. No excuses, Diggity, no excuses. But Bisu managing to keep that probe scout alive for quite some time. There hasn't been any Zergling produced up to this stage to really contest it, which I have to assume Bisu's just going to assume he's going up against a 3-hatchery build as a result, and also with the timing of that layer now. But I'm kind of curious. Actually, it looks like we might see a 3-hatch build because it's layer before the 4th hatchery. It does play a little bit more savvy. That's pretty standard actually if you're still going to go 4-hatch, but I'm kind of curious if we might, it's possible we'll see some Mulisks or some sort of mixed back. That would actually be kind of the fun thing to see, is 3-hatch versus Bisu build play. But no second gas, and it looks like there is a Stargate, but usually if you're going to see something a little bit more tech heavy, you're going to see that second gas planted early. So it looks like Bisu is planning on playing this a little bit more. Let's see if he just plays the 100 supply and then push out and take that third base. Just plays a little bit safer in that regard, and still managing to keep that probe scout alive, and still almost at full health. Hasn't scouted that 12 o'clock to really get a good look at kind of the drone saturation there, or how many drones that Savior's pumping. But still, he's kept that alive for quite some time. Weapons 1 is upgrading. It looks like he should have that Corsair in not too long, and it looks like he's going to decide his tech there. Ooh, a Zealot able to sneak up to that 12 o'clock and get a drone kill. Once again, disrupt Savior's mining time there, and that is absolutely critical. It looks like he's just going to hang out there and wait for more drones to pop and kind of harass them. But Savior really paying for, first of all, not having a little bit of Overlord scouting out the field, perhaps missing that Zealot as he's moving across the corner, and also he just doesn't have enough Zerglings. Okay, finally getting 4 Zerglings, and it's going to be difficult to dislodge that Zealot once it's behind the line because it engage just 2 at a time, and especially with Weapons 1, which will be out in not too long, that Zealot should go into the bonus kills. Additionally, that's letting Bisu to move that scout around a little bit more, and he's had that scout in that base for absolutely ever. And it looks like we are going to see a 3-hatch build. We're seeing 3-hatch Muta to start here from Bisu. He's getting that Spire planted, and it looks he'd still. I'm sorry. There's got that 4th hatch. I was wondering if we're going to see that 2nd gas. So it looks like he's going to go 4-hatch. I assume he's going to go 4-hatch Spire and immediately translate back into the Hydralisk. I like just seeing the pure Hydralisk again, just because again I feel like the early map control is a little bit more important here to stop exactly what's been happening thus far already, which is harassment at that 12 o'clock. 1 Overlord going to get picked off, but not too much trouble. I can see Bisu already feeling pretty confident in his army disruption rather than taking the Overlord out that's close to his base, relying on maybe Dark Templar or some sort of something right there to kind of protect his base. He knows that Savior's not really going to go for any of the latent bases out there, so he can run out and pick a couple of Overlords out in the field. Second, produced, and he needs to be a little bit careful here because the Spire is going to be produced, and I think those are going to be Scourge that are produced right next to him, but it looks like he is going to get the Overlord and be able to get out without too much worry. So there's the Scourge right there. Evolution Chamber being built right now, and it looks like some Zerglings getting cut out in the field, and Bisu's just playing a lot better than Savior right now. Oh man, going to get the bonus right there. No, it does not lose a Corsair. Actually going to split the Corsair. Still might get a kill, drawing some of these Scourge back. But he almost got the 4th and 5th Overlord kills, and he still got Zealots just it looks like they might be able to get some drone kills to the north. I don't know that Savior's really going to be able to pump enough Zerglings in time to try to counter this. So Bisu playing this very well. He looks like he's really got Savior off balance altogether. And just now, okay, does manage to get a Sunken Colony up in time, but you can just see how that 12 o'clock base, having to invest in Sunken Colonies at all these positions really to deal with it. And let's see if Savior can turn around with these Hydralisks and gain a little bit more map control. Speed Zealots are out in the field, but so at the very least Savior's going to have to stay back, but I still don't feel like Bisu's in a good position where he can go and take another base quite yet. You just wouldn't be able to secure it. But the Zealot's going to be able to run in. It looks like they're just going to suicide across. He had the Zerglings out of position. Looks like 2 Zealots going to try to focus. Did manage to get a drone or 2, and now Savior actually having to completely exit that 12 o'clock base. And Bisu just, wow. Somehow he's going to lose all these Zealots, of course. Well, maybe not. Actually, he's winning against those Zerglings. Savior just not dedicating enough troops. Didn't have the Lurker there in time. Able to once again empty that 12 o'clock, take out the Sunken Colony, stop the drones there. Might get the Lurker before it burrows. Okay, wasn't able to focus fire on it, but really able to disrupt Savior altogether. And this is, in the meantime, he's just macroing up, he's producing troops, and he's keeping Savior from doing essentially what he wants to do. And it looks like more drones going to get killed. So that suicide squad of Zealots just, yeah, 4 Protoss, I guess, doing an excellent job. I don't know how many drone kills he got there, but he got a slot, and Bisu just looking angry in this match for whatever reason. Maybe Savior talked some smack recently. I don't know what it is. Savior going to Hive, but honestly, I don't think that's going to really pay off for him at all. I think this might even be kind of a mix-up desperation sort of strategy here. It's like, well, okay, my economy's completely shot. Let me try to win it with tech, since I got a lot of gas left that I'm not really doing anything with. But Bisu, I think he should easily be able to take that 3 o'clock base and not too long a time. And I think he's going to just have just too large an attack force for any sort of high tech to be useful. Assuming we're seeing Swarm, I don't think Bisu's going to over-dedicate with the Dragoons. He doesn't really have a need to at this stage. He hasn't seen a lot of Hydralisk. He's mostly seen, well, he's seen a couple Lurkers, but hasn't seen an overwhelming amount of Lurkers either. It looks like he does have a lot of Dragoons, does have some High Templar. He needs to be very careful in this build, and actually this might be actually kind of a clever metagame thing. That's one thing to deal with the 4 or 5 hatch Hydra openings, has been just go kind of the soft counter, which is Dragoons early. So with this quick switch to Hive, with a quick Swarm to kind of deal with it, he might be able to catch Bisu with a bad unit composition, which is essentially Dragoons versus anything else. But as long as Bisu keeps a couple amount of Zealots in there, and he also has some Storm to kind of support, he still should be able to move out, take that 3 o'clock, and do what he needs to do from there. So there's the Hive Tech, and that's the thing is I think Swarm's the only way he really can go. Ultralisk, he's just not going to have enough gas to really do anything. He could go Cracklings and go from there and try to pick off this base, try to keep Bisu back and just wreak a lot of havoc that way. But honestly, I still feel like Bisu's so far ahead economically after doing all that damage to the 12 o'clock, still manages to sneak a Zealot just to do some scouting here to the 12. Yeah, I gotta say, Bisu's just really on top of his game, and Savior, you can just see, he's just desperately trying to keep up, just kind of here and there. Needs to come back though, because it looks like there is a pretty sizable attack force moving in. I think Savior actually might make a shot. Yeah, he's got a lot of Zerglings, a lot of Lurkers. I wouldn't be too surprised if he just goes in for a big attack here at the 3 o'clock. So interesting unit composition I think he's going for. I think Bisu's best shot would be get the High Templar to try to counter it. If he can see it in time. He hasn't had a Corsair out in the field to really deal with this, but a big Lurker-Ling combination. Lurkers can really brutalize, just absolutely destroy, melt Zealot armies, whereas what can the Dragoons do, which is usually the kind of the nice counter versus